How's it going, everyone, and welcome to No Fun Allowed. And today I want to talk about the 5 best ways we can start off our Wild Beyond the Witchlight campaign. There is going to be a ton of spoilers, so players don't watch this, but DMs that want added insight, go ahead and stick around because we've got some awesome things to cover starting off this amazing campaign. So here we are. Something to note is the adventure comes with several hooks on how to get this campaign started, but the more the merrier. And honestly, one of the big things that comes to starting this adventure is, this is like the point 5 bulletin board here, is create the group together. Do not have players show up at the table saying, oh, look at this character and I've got this 5-page backstory. Because, quite frankly, that backstory is probably not going to matter. Unless you really want to shove it into the adventure, it's going to be probably non-existent. Have everyone create the players together and work the hook into their background. That is going to get you the most bang for your buck, and it's going to be a great time as everyone is creating their PC together. So let's go down the list here. Number 1, the Warlock is your mentor. So in the beginning of this adventure, one of the hooks is that there is a person that says, hey, my patron is, I haven't talked to her in a while, can you guys go investigate it? I think that is a little bit weak in my opinion. It is the traditional adventure style approach. But me personally, I think that a great way to go about this is during that character creation, you can say that all of the characters are young and they have a mentor, this previous adventure. And it's through this mentor is the reason why all of the player characters have their levels, is because this mentor helped train them up because they used to be an adventurer. And then eventually they get older, and once the PCs are old enough, that is when the Warlock says, hey, you guys can totally help me out. I'm too old for this, but you guys are spry young adventurers. Why don't you go ahead and go out for me? Number 2, you all work for the carnival. The players' backgrounds are all involved in the fact that they work for this carnival. And you can have some fun variety there in how they wound up in the carnival itself. Maybe they are poor, maybe they got lost, maybe something happened. But they go work for the carnival, and for years they work for this carnival, and everything's fine. But they notice some things on the side. They know that not everything's on the up and up. And it's when the adventure kicks off is when your players start to realize what's really going on behind the scenes. About the things going missing. About the connection between the Witchlight Carnival and the Hags of Prismeer. That is when you can have all that fun variety go down. And your players are more invested in trying to help save the carnival because they know if the hags are doing nefarious things, then potentially all the evil stuff can start spilling into the Witchlight Carnival. Plus, you can have this really fun rapport of Mr. Witch and Mr. Light already knowing the party. Maybe Mr. Witch and Mr. Light are a bit too preoccupied to know every single one of their employees, but you can still have it where they're on somewhat of a named basis. Number 3, to kick off the adventure, your party seemingly falls into Prismeer. And you can do this the classic way from the cartoon itself, where your players go ride on one of the rides, and then the ride takes them straight to a fantasy world, and now they're just plunged in this world, and they got to figure out what's going on. Or you could have it where they are moving about the carnival, and then all of these things start falling into their lap. All of these little tidbits of information about Prismeer and the Coven and all these things. And then they basically just stumble across this adventure, and they just go right on in. This definitely leans toward more of the adventuring group that doesn't need too much of a hook, too much of a reason. But I imagine that a lot of players are going to be on board if you simply put them on to the roller coaster and then they show up in a fantasy world and they gotta get the heck out of there. 4, the party has Zybilna as a patron. Now, normally this only pertains to warlocks per se, but you could have it where Zybilna maybe taught them all something in the past. Maybe Zybilna reached out to all of them and showed them how to be awesome warriors and showed them magics and whatever else. And they all have a shared patron in Zybilna, and then all of a sudden their connection fades. The connection is just simply gone. And the only way they know how to interact with Zybilna is by going to this Witchlight Carnival and trying to find a way to get to Prismeer. This gives them a really strong hook to freeing Zybilna, and the best part about all this is, at the very end there, you can let your players in on the dirty little secret that Zybilna is in fact Tasha. That's a really great way to approach it because your players might say, oh, I've got a spell named after you, that's cool. And 5, I think one of the strongest hooks of this whole adventure is, your sibling was the thing that was stolen. So one of the options here is, your players show up to the Witchlight Carnival when they're kids, and something is stolen. Usually these things are items or maybe some sort of personality trait or something. But I think a really, really strong hook here is if a sibling was taken, whether that be a twin, a younger sibling, older sibling, whatever, a cousin maybe, whatever it is, someone was stolen and the witches have them. And that could be the whole party. All of the party is missing some sort of sibling, and they go to Prismeer to find their sibling years later. Because they show up to the carnival and they're kids, maybe anywhere between 10 to 12 or whatever, and then they show up much later, and then now they're all leveled adventurers, and every single place that they go, there's kids. And that could be each sibling at each one of the Hag's lairs, and also at the Palace of Heart's Desires. These siblings can be spread out all over Prismeer. But I definitely believe that is one of the strongest hooks, and that is the hook that I'm using for my first group run through. Because chasing after all of these locations to find your long lost sibling is a fantastic motivation to keep on moving forward. Between these 5 ways to kick off your Witchlight adventure, I promise you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck. Obviously, it really comes down to the kind of group that you have. Some people need very, very strong motivations, and some people just need to be told, hey, this is the adventure, let's go. And then it just works. Depending on which hook that you use to get your players into this adventure, they will approach things certain ways. For example, being the siblings, if they know that their siblings are missing, then they're going to go straight to wherever they believe that they are, and they're going to ask people around what's going on. But if they have Zybilna as a patron, or if they're doing it for that warlock mentor of theirs, then they're going to be more dead set on trying to free and find this Zybilna in the first place. Whichever way you go about it, just make sure that your party is full on board, and you're going to have a rip-roaring good time, because this adventure deserves a awesome start, because it's going to be a strong start, it's going to be a strong middle, and then it's going to be a strong ending. Make sure that whichever hook that you take completely reels in your players into this amazing adventure. So go ahead and tell me, are you going to use any of these hooks? Are you going to use several of them combined? Or are you going to use none of them at all? Which of these hooks do you think is going to be strongest for your group? Because, like I said before, not all groups are down for just, hey, here's the adventure, let's go. And how much time do you think your players are going to spend in the Witchlight Carnival before they make their way to the land of Prismeer? Go ahead and tell me all those things, because I would love to hear it. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. And thank you to my amazing patrons. You guys are absolutely incredible. Thank you so very much. And I cannot wait to see you all in the next one.